Hey folks, I hope everyone's doing well. Today I thought I would do a shootout between not just one of my guitars, but two. That's right, I actually own two guitars. And for the first time in 5 years, I have finally been reunited with that guitar. So before hitting the red button in Cubase to see if my old guitar is up to the test, I thought I'd stick the camera on and feed the algorithm gods what they so rightfully deserve. Look, I even did one of these god-awful f***ing thumbnails as some sort of blood sacrifice to the YouTube gods, only instead of blood it was what little dignity I have left. With all that said, I do love a good story, and by God is this a story. So I need to start this video off with an explanation of why I haven't seen this guitar in over 5 years. I'll cut to the chase and keep this brief. 5 years ago, my girlfriend looked out the window and realised it hadn't stopped raining in 20 years. So we packed a couple of suitcases, left the UK and flew to the other side of the world to a gigantic island full of man-eating spiders. I could only take one guitar with me because I'd already exhausted the airline's baggage allowance with insect repellent. So sadly for me, my other guitar had to stay in the UK under my bed collecting dust. About 5 years later, aka a few months ago, my girlfriend's mother also decided to relocate from the UK to Australia, presumably at the amazement that we hadn't yet been eaten by spiders, snakes, sharks, crocodiles, pufferfish, blue ring octopus, drop bears, ikarangi jellyfish, blue tongue lizards, or emus. Seriously, there was a war here against emus. I'm not joking, it happened, look it up. Oh, and by the way, Australia lost that war. So before my girlfriend's mum decided to move here to Australia, she thought it'd be a great idea to put all her possessions, including my guitar that was collecting dust under my bed in England, in a car and then ship the car to Australia from the UK on a boat. About 2 months later, her car washed up ashore and the authorities told her she couldn't have it because it had some dust on it. So the government authorities quarantined the car and had a team of specialists come down in hazmat suits to give it a deep clean to make sure obviously that there were no terrifying insects that had come from the UK all the way over here to Australia where there are no bad insects at all. Heaven forbid a wasp got stuck in the car in transit. No, I think it's actually more to do with soil. Australia's like terrified of foreign soil. I don't understand it, to be honest with you. Have I had a hair hanging from my eyebrow this entire time? Why didn't anybody tell me? Either way, it's clean now. The car is clean. Did I say I'd keep this brief? Then they told her the car would have to be put in storage and she would be charged for that until the items could be inspected. Oh, and also there's a couple of things missing. That guitar you said that was in there? Yeah, we don't know where that is. It's missing. The company who shipped the car here said that modifications would have to be made to it in order to ensure it was fit for Aussie roads. Assuming that they meant the car would be fitted with guns and crocodile-seeking missiles, I was honestly all for it. Sadly, they were talking about some sort of child safety feature for the car, and by this point we're all just thinking maybe this car never actually left England to begin with. It then got even stranger. The company that shipped the car told us that they had to give it to someone else to do these modifications. Despite the company telling us that all our possessions were in storage and that my guitar had been lost, my girlfriend and I managed to track down the car, still with all the belongings inside it, including my guitar, parked in plain sight on some random bloke's front garden. Well, there's the car. Now, I covered this whole story on my latest Patreon monthly vlog. I do these huge monthly vlogs. It's there if you want to see it. I filmed the whole thing, the whole journey, and I managed to capture the moment that we finally were reunited with all our possessions and of course my guitar. Anyway, it's on Patreon if you want to see the whole vlog. But for now, just know that it's safe. Here's a little clip from that Patreon vlog of me seeing the guitar for the first time in 5 years. You guys ready? I don't know if I am. Holy shit. There she is. Wow. The strings are so rusty. I can't believe it. It's back. And I can't believe I've got it back in my hands. Feel it. I can feel that it's my guitar again. You know, it feels like home. I got it back. So happy. That tastes a bit funky. It's been in that case for a long time. So to celebrate the grand reunion of me and my PRS Custom 24, I thought I would do a good old-fashioned tone shootout where we compare my PRS Custom guitar to my old faithful PRS Custom 24. Let's do it. Alright, let's get to the shootout then. This is the PRS Valkyrie's Curse, as Dylan called it when he made it, the luthier of PRS. I think a lot of people think this is printed on. No, he spray painted the body with black lacquer and then peeled that off to reveal the natural wood colouring with a scalpel, believe it or not. So that's actually hand-drawn, like reverse-drawn. The similarities between this and the PRS? Well, there are quite a few, because I modelled this on the PRS that I knew and loved. The neck, for example, was carved by hand. I would feel it, then a bit more wood would come off, it would be given back to me, I'd feel it, I can shave a bit more off. It's a really awesome process of building this guitar. And it was made to model what I loved about the PRS. It also has a 25-inch scale length, which is notoriously the PRS scale length. Not many guitars have a 25-inch scale. It has a rosewood fretboard, so does the PRS. It has a mahogany body, and although it has a flame maple top, the PRS has a quilted maple top. So they're very, very, very similar. Mahogany body as well on the PRS, of course. The strings, we're using exactly the same strings as well. 9 to 46 Elixirs, the same gauge, the same brand. Everything should be the same. I think the pickups here are going to be the biggest factor in this tone shootout challenge test thing that we're doing, which I'm not really sure. It's a bit nonsensical, isn't it, really? They're both great guitars, but I just want to see how they sound and the differences. If I left that fan on, I'm going to go turn that fan off. I firmly believe that 99% of the tone comes from the player, the bones of the human that's strumming, and they're angling the pick and scraping those strings. That's me. On the Demoness, of course, I have active pickups, EMGs, 81 and 85. Now these pickups are going to sound very different to the PRS pickups, which are passive, not active. So while this guitar was modelled on the old PRS that I knew and loved, I do think they're going to sound very different because of the pickups, but we'll see. This is just going to be a fun comparison. They're both great guitars. I haven't played my PRS in about 8 years. Finally got it back. Let's do the shootout. No more talking, let's do it. The first thing we're going to record will be a riff. That's this green section here. The second thing will be a lead, and that will be from my song Skyless. And then the third one will be some chug I invented on the spot. We'll do it all on the Demoness first, then I'll switch over to the old faithful PRS, and we'll see the difference, see if there is a difference. Maybe it'll be identical. Maybe this whole thing will have been pointless. What I might do is do a left and a right for both guitars, and then we'll shoot those out, and then we'll put them together. I'm thinking EMGs on the outside, left and right, and then just in 80% left and right, just on the inside, we'll just pop the PRS passive pickups in, and we'll have PRS Demoness, and it'll be like a coalition quad-tracked thing that we'll do. I'm sure it's going to sound huge, actually. Alright, so let's go for this green riff first, with the Demoness.
Round 1.
We're simultaneously going to record with the Axe effects and a DI, which means just the clean, twanging, banjo-sounding guitar. This is what it's going to sound like. And then you can see here the difference in the waveforms. I'll just solo the Axe effects sound. Alright, and then you've got the DI, which sounds like this. The reason we're doing that is so that we can compare the DI as well as the tone that comes out of the Axe effects, and we can reamp it later if you want to experiment with different tones. It's all a little bit over the top and crazy and pointless, but that's pretty much what metal production is. So, you know, you've come to the wrong video if you think this is going to be anything other than that. This is really for the guitar nerds out there. But let's have a go at this riff then. Come on. This is how it sounded. Tighter than a duck's anus. Alright, I'm going to race through this. So this is two together. You'll see I've just done a little bit of slip editing there to make it super tight. We need these to be super tight. We need them to sound like one. I'm just going to quickly fly through it. These here are little micro adjustments that probably no one will hear, but for the sake of making it absolutely dead on tight, I've just kind of gone in and basically just put a cut here and just dragged like a fraction of a millisecond. Again, that's just for me really. These are tracked super tight anyway. There's really no need to do that. Okay, let's move on. So, Skyless. Alright, let's get this in one nice clean take. Let's go. Alright. Probably could have given it a bit more character, but I just want to make sure it's as tight as what I play again, so I kind of want to make sure they're the same when I track it again with the PRS. Otherwise it'd be a bit unfair if I went absolutely f***ing and then picked up the PRS and kind of just didn't really try. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's a decent take. Let's color code the Demoness red. Why not? Let's confuse things even more with the color schemes. That's that tracked. Let's go back to our rhythm tone. We're smashing through this nice and quickly. These are pretty tight takes, but I do want to do it quickly as well, so they're not going to be super, super perfect. Just got to remember what I wrote here. What pattern is that? I've just come up with a random pattern. I don't know what I'm playing here. Hang on. I just need to follow that kick pattern there. What the f*** is that? Alright, let's just go for it and see if I can sight read the kicks as I play. Yeah, I've got it. Let's lay that down. Kind of fell off the wagon a little bit there, so we got a good amount of chugs, I think. Right, so that's absolutely tight. I'm also showing in the video how I approach recording and how I approach tracking, how I can get things done nice and quickly. I don't overly edit my stuff. A lot of people will go in and grab the DI and f***ing do all this f***ing bullshit. Honestly, I'd rather get a really good take, but that's not to say you have to play the whole thing. If anyone's saying with really intricate metal stuff that they're playing the whole way through the song, or even just the whole riff, I mean, you can go back and make better edits. Why wouldn't you want it to sound better? I don't think anyone today is playing a song in one take. There's no point. So what I'll do is I'll just double that up now. If I was properly recording an album, probably want to get this bit in one take, but I just want to get a really tight recording. I don't care about character of the song. I just want to get really tight recording so we can pick up PRS and do the same thing. Exactly the same. That's why this has to be super tight. It's because both guitars have to match up perfectly. Otherwise, it's an unfair test. Let's do it again. Here we go. The second half was better. I can feel it in my bones as I play it. So let's use what we had already and just put that there. That sounds good. Right, so what we're going to do now is just unmute the Axe Effects ones, put them together. That is as tight as it's going to get. The thing I love about EMGs is they have this really scratchy, washy, wow, wow, wow kind of, don't know what the sound was, but kind of scraping of the pick, kind of 2K region if you're talking about EQ. It just, there's some bite to it and some rasp, the scrapey kind of transient nature of the pick here. What happens is when you double that, you get this like stereo swash, swash, swash sound. And I do say these picks are fantastic from Windspear Instrumental Company. This is my, it won't focus on it, will it? It's not going to do it. But that's my custom Gillian pick. And maybe I'll put a picture up for you. Your playing will make more of a difference to your tone than anything, okay? But the pick does make a difference. It really does. It's kind of turning into a bit of a lesson of tracking guitar now, rather than just a shootout. Get those drums going as well. You'll hear the whole thing here. And what revolutionized metal was when some fucker figured out you can lock in the chug with the kick drum. So you're going chugga chugga chugga, and the kick drum is going digga digga digga, and you get this. It's mean. It's exactly what we want, right? That sounds so tight. And that is essentially the EMG sound for me. That is what I love about EMGs. So it'll be interesting to hear that section for me with passive pickups with the PRS. Let's move on to the PRS. I think we're done. I think the Demoness has obviously shown its prowess. That's how the Demoness performs on this trial with these three sections, lead and rhythm. I think it sounds beautiful. Let's try that PRS. Come on.
Round 2.
Feels so different. Strange to hold it again. For sure. It's a weird, like, calming feeling that comes over me when I hold this guitar again. It's quite nostalgic. PRS Custom 24. All right, so it's got a few dings in it. I used to have a big bullet strap. I'd take the bullet strap off and it would smack against the guitar. I've not really looked after it as well as I should have, but I was a teenager and I didn't know any better. And I was touring around Europe with Shadowlore in a van, and we were doing some crazy things back then. This is the PRS Custom 24, black quilted maple top. Rosewood fretboard. As I said before, these are PRS passive pickups. I did have two Dragon 2 pickups that came with the guitar, but I replaced the bridge one with a heavier sounding PRS pickup called the HFS, which is also known as the screaming pickup. And I have to say, yeah, I understand that, actually. It sounds kind of like someone's screaming. Yeah. I realize I've not been capturing the screen in 4K. That was a mistake. I'm not redoing all this, though. We're going to have to just carry on in 1080p. Imagine that, 1080 is not good enough anymore. We're moving up. Right, let's go. Come on, what are we doing? Am I recording? Yeah. Let's get on with it. This is the PRS of Dreams. I had this set up yesterday by my man Dan Ralph. Shout out to you, buddy. Filed down some frets. Just got rid of some of the gunk. There's a lot of gunk going on. It's an old neglected guitar, really. It's time to bust her out again and see what she's made of. Up against the Demoness. Maybe we can settle the passive versus active pickup debate just in this one video. I doubt it. And actually, that's not my intention. It's not my intention at all. I thought maybe I'd bring this old lady back into the mix. We'll see if we can. See how it shapes up, where in the mix she fits. PRS would be great for cleans. It'd be great for leads. Not sure about rhythms compared to the EMGs. We're going to find out. Maybe we can do an amalgam combination of 2 PRS and 2 Demoness. I need to stop going off on a tangent. Let's get on with it. ADHD is let loose. Straight off the bat, this is how it sounds. Oh, very different. And you'd expect it because this is obviously going to sound a little bit undergained compared to the EMGs, probably because the EMGs are active, hot pickups. They're also very compressed. We're going to have a look at that in a minute as well, because if you go into this waveform, you'll see. Let's record the PRS first and we'll have another look. But the waveform here of the Demoness is going to look very different, I grant you, to the PRS, which is passive, so therefore it's going to have a bit more dynamics. There aren't going to be the peaks cut off, like you have with internal clipping when you're looking at an active pickup. I'm not going to get into the mechanics of that right now, though. Let's have a go at this riff. My back is already hurting. Oddly enough, I'm actually finding it easier to play this riff on this guitar. I don't know why that is. There's a certain chunkiness, if you will, with the PRS. I didn't miss the note, but I didn't play one note as well as I'd like. But already we can have a look at the difference in the waveforms. This feels great to play, by the way. The neck's a bit chunkier, and it all feels a bit more like I'm getting a lot more vibrations through the guitar and into my body. They're both just brilliantly built guitars. They just feel a little different. It's quite strange. So this here's the PRS, and this here is the Demoness. I'll just open that one up for you. Look at the difference. So you could see that this has been cut off here. All these peaks have been compressed within the active pickup itself. The passive pickup of the PRS here, you can see how these peaks are just going absolutely out of control and going sky high. A bit more dynamic. You see that on the chugs. Jugada, jugada. You can actually see those three. Jugada, jugada. That's when you know you've done it well. You've recorded something tightly. You can count the chugs. If I solo the DI, it sounds like this. And the DI from the Demoness, it sounds like this. Back to the PRS. So the Demoness is a bit more tinny. There's some more high end on the DI itself. PRS. There's better mid-range on the PRS. It's just more of a honk to it. It's lacking the top end, I think, but there's more body, right? Back to the Demoness with active pickups. Much more like high-end focused, bit tinnier, not as much body, not as much honky mid-range, but there's still something I love about those pickups when it's reamped. This is so interesting already. Alright, so this is how the PRS riff came out. Oh, some good snappy snarl to that chug there. I think that actually came out sounding great. Let's knock out this Skyless lead then. After I take a break, because my back is about to implode. Alright, let's go for the lead guitar stuff on the song Skyless now. Alright, nice. First take. Sweet. Sounded great. That start was a little flat, so I'm just going to drop that in there. It's better. There you go. Nice. Alright. So I just have to make sure it's perfect or it's not a fair test. That sounded really nice. It's kind of got this warm feel and sound to it. It's got this warm, wet feel that I really like. That is beautiful. I'm not going to do it yet, but I cannot wait to compare that to the Demon S and see what comes out on top. Look, it's not about which guitar is going to come out on top, really, for me. I'm not even going to conclude that in this video. This is up to you. But for me, it's more about finding out which guitar to use for which sections of which songs. For a big chunky breakdown, you might want the EMGs, or you might want a quad track with the PRS. For a nice sweet lead guitar thing, you might want the PRS. I don't know yet. This is what I'm going to find out at the end of this. Anyway, let's do this purple chuggy riff here. Does feel good. Does feel good. Does feel very, very nice. It's been a long time since I played this guitar. I don't know what I'm tuning these strings for. We're doing chugs. Come on. Definitely dialed back a bit on the gain. I definitely can feel that. It's not really responding as well. It's not giving as much. But then when it's locked in tightly with another guitar or even quad track, then you're going to really feel. You don't need as much gain. Then you feel those chugs. All right, let's go for it. Wait, what was the rhythm? I can't remember. Okay. Okay, here we go. Woo! Got in one. Alright, so I've recorded 2 there. Let's go left and right. Oh, click off. Cool, sounds good. Let's play it with the drums. Just the DIs by themselves, let's go for that. Tight, love it. Twite. Okay, that's it. We're done, we've done it. We have recorded everything we need to record. I'll put the guitar down now, and we'll come back and we'll have a little listen. We'll have a little listen. We should probably do a blind test, really, but I think you probably know, wouldn't you? Probably know what they are after already hearing it. We should probably color code these quickly as well, though. So let's color code the PRS. Let's color code the PRS blue. A light blue. How about that? No, it doesn't really work, does it? Well, yeah, go on then. This is it. The ultimate PRS Demon S shootout. Probably the only one of these you'll find on the internet. Because I don't know how many people own both the PRS and a Demon S and bother to do this. But here we go. This is pretty niche. If you've stuck with me this far, thank you. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's very quickly shoot this out, everyone. This is the first riff with, let's mute that, just the Demon S. No, it's not, because I muted them. Here we go. Demon S. Let's do it. Nice. Let's go for it. PRS. What you got? Well, it's crazy because that sounds like, it's almost like I've reamped the same recording through the guitar. They sound so identical, which is perfect. We don't want the performance and the playing in the recording to affect the test, and I've played them pretty much exactly the same. If I go like that, I can switch between the two, right? Demon S, PRS, Demon S, PRS. Let's start with the PRS again. Here we go. I've done the wrong ones. I've got the DIs. Hang on. First off, PRS, and then halfway through, I'm going to press this, and you're going to see these little red things move around. Wherever the red things fall is what you're going to hear. PRS first. Let's go. So definitely more gain with the EMGs. We'll start with the EMGs again with the Demon S now, and we'll flick back halfway through to the PRS. I'm kind of surprised because the Demon S has all that gain, it has all that stuff, but there's something that the PRS pickups has that's just like, it's just like a slushy gainy tone. Even though it's under gain, there's something there that I do really like. I think there's a bit of a volume dip as well, which is unfair. So let's just bring this PRS one up by half a dB, because I think that's going to affect how you perceive the sound as well. It's very important. I'm going to loop it, and then we're going to really get into this, guys. PRS. I mean, the main difference is gain, obviously. Although there's definitely less in the highs with the PRS, it's a darker tone. It still offers something unique. There's a snarly character that the EMGs offer that the PRS doesn't. Even though it's darker quality in the PRS, it's a honkier mid-range. A certain squish from it. Wah, wah, wah. Back to Demon S now. Here we go. Very, very hard one to call. You know, in the mix, when you're actually getting down to the mathematics of the mix, it could be a bit more important. What we're doing now is we're just using our ears, and by God, if you're listening on a phone, you're not going to hear a damn bit of difference probably, but we're just really working out from this the initial impact to us as a human hearing it, not really going very deep. We're not looking at the mathematics and the science behind it. We're not looking at the graphs and the EQ charts and everything. We're just listening, and we're kind of going, how does it affect me? How does it feel? PRS almost seems a bit more controlled. More natural tone, a little darker. There's less gain. It's not as ferocious. A bit more body. I don't know. I'm really on the fence. Do you want to do the unthinkable? Let's come back at the end of the video and do the unthinkable and put them together. Let's move on to the next thing, which is the lick. Now, this is going to be a lot of fun. And what we'll do is just select them both, and I can flick between again. If you have a look on the left there, start with the Demon S, and then I'll press S, and we'll flick to the PRS. But let's hear them one at a time all the way through first. Demon S first. Let's go. Nice. Now let's go for the PRS. Wow, there's so little difference. It's quite amazing. Like, there is difference, and I'll get into that, but I just want to talk about how it is all in your hands. Like, it is your playing. I've picked up two totally different guitars, one with active pickups, one with passive pickups, and made them sound the same. So what I'm doing is I'm reacting to the sound that I'm hearing back from the guitar and through the effects and everything. I'm really listening to the angle of the pick as I play, and I'm adding a bit more of a half pinch harmonic in there. I'm cutting in harder on the edge when I don't hear it reacting the way I want. What I'm doing is I'm trying to manipulate two very different instruments to sound the same way, which is the way I ultimately want them to sound. So if we flick between the two now, go to the Demon S now. And one of the biggest complaints about using active pickups is it's too sterile. It sounds like a video game. It doesn't sound like a real instrument. But I kind of like that. Honestly, that's the sound I like. But one thing I do hear here with the PRS is that the PRS sounds more organic. It sounds smoother, I think. Let's just listen again to the start. Now, that was the PRS. Now it's the Demon S. Mid-range, something different's happening there. What I'll do is every bar, I'm going to press S and flick between the two. Okay? How much difference is there really? Is it all playing? I'm just going to flick back and forth stupid amounts, and we'll see, right? Here we go. Come on. This debate's stupid. Anyone who's still debating digital versus tube amps, active versus passive, elixir strings because they're coated versus D'Addario or whatever because they're not coated. Yes, these things matter, but for God's sake, just find what works for you and get the sound you want, not what someone tells you on a forum, not what someone on the internet claims is better. It's infuriating to me because I've done this my whole life. I've been recording music for 20 plus years. I recorded my first song with the BBC, some fucking band I was in when I was 10 years old. We had the BBC come to our school and record us. I've been recording for that long, and I've got to say, it doesn't matter what you use as long as you chose to use it in pursuit of a certain sound, or if you've tried different things and then you think, I prefer that, and it's gonna be totally unique to you. It's got to be unique to you because you're playing the instrument. So someone may complain that the Demoness sounds too sterile, but then when I play it, I might make it sound less sterile. I might give it more character that maybe they couldn't. With a PRS, someone might say, oh, well, you know, those passive pickups, they're not really cutting through. They don't really give the character I want. It's in your hand. And then it's up to you where you steer it, preference-wise. Anyway, I'm getting proper nerdy with this shit now. How crazy was that? I was flicking between every time. I'm listening in headphones. I have a pretty damn good ear. And I don't think in the mix it really matters that much. I just don't think it matters that much. It's just your playing. All of this is just your playing. Look, take this all off, right? We're just going to go... We will hear a difference now because they're soloed. But what I'm trying to tell you is in the mix of a song... You've got people listening to songs on Spotify on their fucking phone while they're taking a shit. Do you really think, do you honestly think, when a lead guitar starts playing on a song, they're going to be like, oh, could have done with some EMGs in there, like, oh, could have done with some passives? No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit about this. I do, but that's because I am completely obsessed with music. But anyway, let's just solo this. So this is the PRS on its own. I'll flick between them. I don't care. I don't really care. Either guitar works for leads. Maybe there's a smoothness with the PRS that sounds sweeter for certain things, maybe. But then the DMS and the EMGs have that raw energy spilling over with the extra gain. You can tweak these, man. You can EQ, you can add gain. Like, does any of it matter? No. Just be a better guitarist. Just be a better musician. That is all that matters. That is all that matters. I'm going to move on, but that was a super cool test. Really interesting. Just as a human, we can make different things sound similar by reacting. And what I mean by that is when I'm playing the PRS and I feel that something's lacking that was there on the Demon S, I'm picking harder. I'm angling the pick differently subconsciously to find... It sounds wanky, it sounds ridiculous, but it is what's happening. Either way, I'm kind of arriving at the same point. Let's move on to the chugs, because this is going to be probably where we're going to hear the most difference, I would think, is in those chugs and in the slushy nature of the chug itself. Now, what's really interesting to me is when I did the Shadowlaw album, my old band Shadowlaw, back in 2010 or 11? 10, I think? Yeah, 2010. We flew over to Sweden with Fredrik Nordstrom. He was mixing it. He listened to everything. I think he and a couple of the guys working for him, Henrik Ud, guys turned around and said, "You're not using EMGs, are you?" And he's pointing at me. I was using the PRS, the very PRS that I recorded this with today. And I said, "No, I used my PRS with PRS pickups." They looked like they were going to vomit on the floor of the studio. They were like, "Why didn't you use EMGs?" They really grilled me hard for that. "Why didn't you use EMGs? Now we're going to be fighting that 2K region." They have a point. That the EMGs they cut through. They're just great for metal. I think the dark nature of the PRS was possibly really pale in comparison to the other guitarists who tracked all his half of the guitars with EMGs. So they had to then sort of raise my PRS up to the level of what the EMGs were doing, right? Because you can't really back down an overgained guitar. You have to kind of gain up an undergained guitar. So that kind of left me thinking, well, I need EMGs then, and I did, and I went on this journey. But let's just listen and see if they were right on that, because let's just check this out. Let's try the PRS first for the chugs. Sounds excellent. Don't have a problem with it. When it's not compared to something, it's difficult to really have any idea of what it is. It just sounds clean. It's obviously well played, but does it compare to the Demon S? So let's try the Demon S now. Yeah, that's the biggest difference right there. The intricate notey riff, not much of a difference. The lead guitar, even less of a concern to me. But these chugs, I'm going to loop this section now. And I want you to listen out to the difference between the two guitars. We'll start with the D min S, and when I press S, which will flick over to the PRS, I think you're going to hear the significance of the undergained passive pickups at play with these chugs. Here we go. D min S. Click it now. That's a night and day difference. So that there is the difference. On a riff or a chug like this in a song, that's where you're going to hear the difference. Holy shit. Let's analyze that. Let's just start with the PRS here. Super clean, super tight, super controlled. It's not flabby, very notey, jiggity jiggity jig. It's very tight. There's a lot of honk in the mid-range, but also the low mid-range. We go back to the D min S though, with the EMGs. With the EMGs, it's like definitely delivers more ferocity. For a section like that, you probably want that super high gain sound, right? It's got a really nice sludge. It marries up with the kick nicely and sludges over the top of the kick. When I drop it back to the PRS, I'll start with the D min S now. It feels like it loses something, but something else comes underneath it and grabs it by the ghoulies. Have a listen. It's like it hugs you. This video is getting silly now because my analogies aren't going to make sense to you. But right, so what it is, I'll tell you what it is. You know when you're palm muting a chord, jug, 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 and then you kind of really tightly palm mute it, so you move it up a little and you go chick, 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 chick. That's what the PRS sounds like. It's where you're really tightly doing chickadee, chickadee, chick. But when we listen to the D min S, it's like you've opened up, you've slid down, you've opened up that palm mute, so you've allowed more. It's like opening a hi-hat almost. Tight hi-hat sound versus a really nice loose jangly hi-hat sound. That's what this sounds like to me. The D min S is like you've opened that palm. I could probably demonstrate that on guitar for you right now. That'd probably be easier than talking bullshit. All I'm doing is the right hand is just moving up slightly to block it more and backing off to allow more out of it. So it's almost like turning a tap on and off. And you want to get that sweet spot with the chugs, right? There's a big difference, but again, this comes down to the playing. I can make it sound like that with my right hand, but where the D min S wins out, with the PRS, I can only go so far. That's as open as I can open that up without playing actual open, you know, an open chord. With the D min S and the EMG active pickups in particular, it's like that tap is allowed to go even more open without me moving my palm off the guitar. So I'm still palm muting, but who the f is texting me? It's allowing more gain to spill over the edges, and that is fucking awesome. I gotta say, I think it's time we actually put these two together. Imagine those two together, the tightness of the PRS, the clarity, but that fucking unbridled aggression of the EMGs and the D min S, chugging together as one. Quad tracked, let's do it. So we've got PRS on the inside, and then just outside of that we're going to have the D min S, okay? Obviously there's a bit of a volume difference in terms of we're putting two more guitars in, so obviously you're going to go, oh, that's louder, so that sounds better, doesn't it? Let's duplicate those. Let's duplicate these. And I'll turn down these duplicates. It's minus 3 dB, the duplicates. Obviously different for these, we were offsetting these by 0.5, so got to remember that. I think what we do is we select all the guitars, and then we solo just the D min S, loud ones. Don't need these anymore. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take the quad tracked PRS, PRS, D min S, D min S, and we've lowered the volume because the perceived volume will be louder because there's four of them, there's more of them, right? So hopefully minus 3 decibels will fix that, and we're going to flick between that and the two of the D min S on their own, and we're going to decide which sounds better. I can do it by pressing S like that. That's cool, isn't it? Look at that. Just D min S on its own, and now flick. Oh! D min S. Everything's together, here we go. It's better. It's creamier, it's heavier, it's filling gaps all together, and then we're going to drop back to just the 2 Demon S. It's better. Quad tracking that chug with the PRS and Demon S together, holy god damn. That sounds sick. Listen to the weight that comes with the PRS, the balls that come up, like there's so much more low end. Demon S on their own. There's some f***ing girth that's added when you do that. And obviously some of that will come with quad tracking for those heavier parts, not for all of it, but I think when it drops into a heavier part, quad tracking between the two is good. I still want to keep maybe just double tracking those intricate riffs, but let's see. Here we go, this is just the Demon S on its own, and I'll flick to the 4 quad tracked ones halfway through. Okay, that sounds f***ing huge. All 4 together, and I'm going to flick back now. You lose that low end, you lose that body. In the past I talked about not quad tracking everything, just quad tracking the big parts. I still stand by that, because when you have really intricate notey riffs, I do find that quad tracking, it can just end up sounding less organic, and any kind of little half pinch or any kind of little bend, you lose that character when you try and just stay sterile to do 4 that are the same. And if you even try and deviate slightly, you end up with mush, right? That's why just 1 left, 1 right works for most riffs. But when you get a real stonky chonky riff, like this one in fact, this works. And there's something missing when you go back to just the left and the right. Of course, it's going to be fine if you go back to a really intricate high up riff, but those low riffs, I think quad tracking those is still important if you've got time to do it. I think it can still bring out a nice sludginess and more body, and that's what the PRS is bringing to the table here. If we just listen to PRS on its own now, don't think it's going to cut it. It sounds good. It sounds good, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't sound as good as this. Yeah, that's it. That's the shootout. The PRS holds up. It holds up and it delivers a different character. It's a darker character, but maybe a more organic sort of sound with a bit more body and a bit more balls. The Demon S brings the thunder. The Demon S brings that ferocious high gain that spills over nicely. And I think ultimately you can let the bass and the kick take the low end in a mix anyway. How much of the PRS's balls is actually going to come through at the end of the mix? I'm not sure, but maybe you can save that for those big, chunky quad track parts and then bring it in there. If we're talking about the chugs, honestly, I think the Demon S with those EMGs is still going to win, but bringing in that missing ingredient, which is the body on those chugs. Like, that does sound better. I think that pretty much sums this up. As you can tell, I'm very, very excited. I'm very, very happy to be reunited with my PRS. Thanks for coming along with me on that very long-winded test. I didn't really expect it to go on that long, but it did. Very sweaty now. As I said before, if you want to hear more of this mindless shit, then sign up to my Patreon. There's loads of it. There's loads of content on there. There's the monthly vlogs, massive monthly vlogs every month. You can only find them on Patreon. And that is because I need to fund my music somehow. There's no shame in that, right? I need to fund the albums. I've got a new album coming out, and I need to fund it somehow. And everyone who supports me on Patreon, which is absolutely the best way to support me these days, it's really, really helping. It's helping for me to stay independent and not look for loans and try and get record labels to pay for everything so that I owe them, you know, for the rest of my life. In recoupable royalties, which is another thing I'm not going to get into right now. But anyway, so look out for the new album. Catch you later, guys. Thank you so much. See you soon.
So were all these boxes in the car today? So on the docket, taken note for me, it said 1 guitar, but...
Can't believe it's happening.